Hey, it's Haley. Welcome to another bookish video. So today I'm going to be telling you guys my top 20 books of 2020, just like the title says. Can you believe 2020 is finally over? Thank God. I cannot wait for this year to be over. Also can't wait for Christmas. Yeah. We are like a week away from Christmas when I'm filming this, so I'm super excited to get to Christmas. It's probably after Christmas when you're watching this. I hope you had a good Christmas. But without further ado, let's get into my top 20 books that I read this year. So far this year, I've read 140 books. My goal was 100 books, but I actually crushed it and read 40 more. And in the next like 12 days left that we have in this year, I might end up reaching my like low-key goal of 150, so it might happen. She's like kind of working for it. So that's how many books that I've read, and I'm gonna share with you my favorite top 20. You know, top 20 of 2020. I thought that sounded cute. These are going to be in no particular order until we get down to the final 5, and those are going to be ranked. So for the top 15 that are not in, you know, my top 5, I'm going to go through them by genre. So this year in my top 20, I had 3 romances, obviously not counting the ones that are included in my top 5 of the year. But those are Verity by Colleen Hoover, which is part thriller, part romance, and everything that I wanted in a book. It follows a girl who gets hired as like basically a ghostwriter for a very famous author who is in a coma, but she needs someone to finish her series. She moves into this author's house. The author's name is Verity, and she starts kind of taking over Verity's life, living in her home with her husband, writing her book series, and maybe Verity is becoming possessed and taking out her revenge. So this book is crazy, absolutely insane. If you're looking for a dark romance or a thriller that will knock you off your feet with amazing twists, this is for you. Another one of my top romances this year was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is the first adult romance I have ever read, and when I tell you I was blown away, I was blown away. And I don't think that this just made it into the top 20 because it was one of the first adult romances that I've read. I think it was genuinely really good. I was crying reading this book. The characters are so cute. I absolutely loved the 2 main characters together and their relationship. This is also like light enemies to lovers, which I found is my favorite trope in a romance. So I highly recommend this, especially to read in the summer. It's like the perfect little beach read, hence the title. And the last romance to make it into my top 20 is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I absolutely love this book. Oh my God. The representation, amazing. The romance, amazing. The love interest. Can we all take a moment for Red? This man right here is the most emotionally mature and aware love interest I have ever read in a book. Multiple times he's like, yeah, bro, like, to be honest, I do be needing therapy. And I'm like, that's all we want in a man. That is literally all we want in a man. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows our main character, Chloe, who struggles with chronic pain and chronic illness. We love that representation. And she's also a plus-size Black woman, so she faces a lot of strife and prejudgments in her life, and she ends up actually prejudging Red a little bit, who is the like kind of fixer-upper landlord guy of her apartment. And they judge each other, but they end up, you know, overcoming. This is another enemies to lovers romance. Why do I love enemies to lovers so much? I don't know. You can analyze that in the comments below if you would like. But anyway, read this book because it will literally change your life and make you cry. So let's move on to contemporaries. I have 3 contemporaries also in my top 20 that are not in my top 5. So let's get into it. The first one is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is another one that just made me cry the entire time that I was reading it. I was really worried that it was going to be too intense for me, but because of the content, but it actually wasn't. It was written very sensitively with a lot of empathy and beauty to the writing, even though it was about such a difficult subject, and that is sexual assault and rape culture in a town where, you know, these boys who play hockey and just sports in general are lauded as like kings, and when one of them fucks up, it goes into all of the different people who are affected in the town and all the different ways that a rape or a sexual assault can cause so much absolutely unimaginable harm to not only the victim, but also to the people around the victim, the people around the perpetrator. And it speaks about it with such elegance, I want to say. Like, I don't know how to describe this other than like beautiful and touching, and it will literally scrape your heart right out of your chest. And I think it's very true to life. It provides a lot of different perspectives, including that of the victim and that of the perpetrator. So you're getting every single side of the story, and God, just the chapters from the perspective of the mother of the perpetrator. Those, I mean, I can't imagine being in that situation. Like, what do? You just cry every day and want to kill your son? Like, I don't know. Oh God, this one really got me. I could talk about this for so long. Read it. My next contemporary on this list is also by Frederick Bachman, and it is Anxious People. This is another one that again just made me cry the entire time I was reading it. It has amazing mental health rep, and this is coming from someone who is in school, getting my master's and becoming a therapist and getting licensed as a therapist. So I can really speak to the accuracy of the representation. A lot of the people that I've seen in my like very new practice, I think this would resonate with them a lot, and it did resonate with me. I think if you have any kind of mental health struggle, this is a book that you can read and feel very seen, especially if you struggle with anxiety or suicidal ideation in particular. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows a group of people who are held hostage at an apartment viewing. They're like prospective renters of the apartment, and across the street a bank robbery goes wrong. The robber runs into this apartment and holds them hostage, and it's basically like a character study of each of the people that are held hostage, the bank robber themselves and the policemen who are trying to do the hostage negotiation. So it really goes into all of their different walks of life and how they got there, and it's beautiful, just like all of Frederick Bachman's books. And finally, for contemporaries, I have The Humans by Matt Haig. I really need like a pretty copy of this because this is so musty, dusty, crusty. I just got her from Half Price Books. Really underestimated her, but she ended up being obviously one of my favorites of the year. I cannot say enough good things about this book. It is witty, hilarious, has great social commentary. Like, I was dying laughing reading this book. I absolutely loved it. Could not put it down. I read it in 24 hours because I couldn't stop reading it. It's so good. It's about an alien who gets sent to Earth and he's disguised as a human so he can fit in and like complete his mission. But he gets attached to the humans and their weird way of life while he's here. So has really great commentary on the way that we are as humans and why we do what we do, and love and values and things like that. So if that sounds good to you, I highly recommend this book. I feel like a lot of people are gonna hear that description and not want to pick it up, but please pick it up. I'm literally begging you. If you take one recommendation from this video, read this book. It's so underhyped. All right, next I will get into my top thrillers of the year. I feel like this is what y'all have been waiting for. So first up, I have The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. This was a total shocker for me. The twist I did not see coming at all. And this has one of my favorite tropes in a thriller, which is the I'm gonna snatch your life bitch who comes up out of nowhere and tries to take this rich woman's life. I love thrillers like that. So this one was really right up my alley and I really enjoyed it, especially that twist. This was one where I just had to read it in under 24 hours because I was sucked into this rich, luxurious, mysterious, secretive world, and I don't have it with me right now because my mom is reading it and she's really enjoying it. So yay, Mom, I'm glad you like one of my favorite books. Next up, I'm going to talk about The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier, and I also don't have this one with me right now because it's with my mother and she is hopefully going to read it after Last Mrs. Parrish, or maybe she already read it before, I don't really know. I just dropped off a bunch of my favorite books at her house so she can read them. But this one was another complete surprise. I really had underestimated this book. I just, picked it up, mass market paperback. Okay, sounds interesting. It blew my socks off. Basically, it follows this man who is moving into his grandfather's old house, and his grandfather was a police detective, and he ends up finding hidden evidence buried in the backyard of his grandfather's house. And it is evidence that pertains to the Butcher case, which was like the very infamous serial killer that his grandpa ended up catching while he was the head detective on the case. So the case is obviously reopened and maybe things aren't as they seemed back in the day. It is insane. If you're looking for like a Karen Slaughter-esque, like crazy twisted thriller, highly recommend it. And next up I have The Night Swim by Megan Golden. This is another one that I totally underestimated because I really did not enjoy Megan Golden's first book, The Escape Room, but I wholeheartedly enjoyed The Night Swim. Not only is it an effective thriller with a true crime podcast element that adds a lot of intrigue, but it also has great social commentary and speaks about rape culture in a similar way to Beartown, where it's very real and raw and it doesn't sugarcoat things, but it's said in a way that's digestible and empathetic for the victim. So I really enjoyed that. I thought the twists were really shocking, and more than that, I just enjoyed the way that it was written and the sensitivity that was given to the subject while in a thriller format, because I think that's really difficult to do, is providing those shocking twists that like blow your mind alongside a sensitive social commentary. So I really appreciated that. Next up, I have I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and I'm not going to talk about this one for too long because I actually have like a 20-minute full-on review and comparison to the Netflix movie up on my channel. So I will link that in the cards and down below if you want to check that out. This book, the way that it speaks about mental health, I could rave about for hours. I could talk about this book for forever, but just go watch that video if you want to know like my very in-depth thoughts. But just know that this gave me an entirely new perspective on mental health, which doesn't happen often. I feel like I'm reading about mental health at all times in my life. So this was really refreshing, and the fact that it's in the setting of a thriller, I really appreciated that because I love thrillers literally more than anything. It's my genre. I feel like that's a constant theme in this video, is like something that's shocking and entertaining, but also has like a deeper meaning and commentary. So highly recommend this one. Next up in the thriller category is a chunk of a book, Night Film by Marisha Pessl. Oh my god, this book is like physically heavy, like it's hard to lift up. Like I remember reading this and like my little noodle arms were like, oh god, I can't hold her. Like she's very heavy and hefty. She also has like the multimedia pages, which I really appreciated. Even though this is a thick book, I flew through it because it is so intriguing. It has like 80s slasher, like on the hunt for a killer detective journalist vibes. I know that didn't make any sense, but I don't even want to tell you what this book is about. I just want you to go into it knowing nothing and let it take you on this crazy trippy ride and see what happens to you, because it's that good. Next up, I have The One by John Mars, which I read really recently, and this one blew my socks off too. Like, why do I keep using that phrase, blew my socks off? I don't know. But I gave this one an instant 5 stars. I knew probably like 100 pages in it was gonna get 5 stars. There was a twist at the end of every chapter. And if you like sci-fi, like dystopian, and you're wanting to get into thrillers, I think this would be a great first foray into the genre as well. It was very intriguing. It's about the future society, if we had a DNA service that could match you with your soulmate based solely on your DNA profile. So what happens is people find their match. You follow 5 people finding their match, one of which is a serial killer. Very interesting take in a thriller, especially with that sci-fi element. Highly recommend. Next up, we have The Underdog, Cinderella Story, Sleeper Pick, Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. I absolutely love this book. It reminds me of 2 of my favorite thrillers of all time, which you're gonna see in the top 5. It will just take your mind and just screw with it. Like, if you like unreliable narrators, if you like kind of not knowing what's going on and having to figure out yourself in a thriller, you will like this. If you like serial killer crazy weirdness, you will like this. If you like feminist themes and your thrillers and a very strong minority woman detective, you will love this book. It follows a wife whose abusive husband has gone missing, but not just, you know, he's living and he goes missing. No, that's too basic for Darby Kane. No, this wife ended up killing her husband that was abusing her, and she like plants his body to be found, and he goes missing. Nobody knows where the body is. Nobody even knows he's dead. Nobody knows that she killed him, obviously. So where did his body go? Is he still alive? Did somebody move the body? The questions are insane. I think this is one of the very best books that has come out in this year, 2020. I know the cover's ugly and it doesn't look like it would be something, but she is something. We're getting into my last 2 top thrillers of the year before I reveal my top 5. So we're almost there, guys. My next one is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. If you're looking for a ghost story, this is it. I am not a big believer in the paranormal, so I really liked this take on a paranormal haunted house story, and I feel like I couldn't not have a paranormal haunted house book in my top 20. This is my favorite one that I read this year, and Riley Sager, you literally can't go wrong. Next up, I have my absolute queen, Lisa Jewell. One of my top favorites that I read by her this year was Then She Was Gone. I think the ending of this book was so impactful. It follows a woman whose daughter has gone missing, and it's years later. She's interested in a man, they start dating, and she meets his daughter, and she's like, whoa. Why is your daughter literally exactly like my daughter who went missing? Something seems fishy. And so you basically know what's going on the entire time. You can probably deduce by that description what's going on there, but you're waiting for the characters to find out. And every time they find out, it's you're going along this journey with them as they put the clues together. I think this is such an effective domestic thriller. It's set in Britain. Lisa Jewell's writing style and her way of writing, her tone of voice in her writing is just so relatable, and I just love it. So now this is the moment you've all been waiting for, my top 5 books of 2020. In number 5, drumroll please, we have Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This is a wonderful thriller. The ending of this book might be my favorite ending in any book literally ever. This is another thriller with very strong feminist themes. It gives you the creepy, crawly, scary, thrilling vibes. I am rarely scared by a book. This book terrified me. The antagonist in this book is absolutely one of the scariest villains I have ever read about. Ever. It's also very effective at being scary and graphic without using things like in a sexual nature, which I really appreciate because sometimes that just can feel exploitative, and I think that really plays into the feminist track that the author was going for in this thriller. It follows a very wealthy couple who seems perfect on the outside, but behind closed doors, the husband is outrageously abusive. And it's about Grace, his wife, our main character, trying to figure out why he's doing this to her, holding her hostage and torturing her in their home, and she's trying to escape their marriage. In the number 4 spot, I have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was my favorite romance that I read by far this year. Oh my God, the way I loved this book. Like, I cannot get over this book. It is, surprise, enemies to lovers romance, and it is also an office romance. Basically, these two sit across from each other at work. Their desks are separated by like one of those clear like things so they can see each other. And she has it in her head that he, her desk mate, literally hates her. And so they like play little like weird fucked up games where she's like, I'm gonna prove to him that I hate him more. Let's play the hating game. So it's just like, she's very weird. She's a very quirky character, but not quirky in an annoying way. More like an Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine kind of a way. And that was one of my favorite books of 2019. So it really makes sense that that kind of voice would resonate with me again in 2020. I loved this book. I loved the way the romance was developed in this book. I think it was really well done. I really cared about these characters, and girl, I sobbed at the end of this book. If you're looking for an amazing enemies to lovers romance, I will never stop recommending this book. In my number 3 spot, I have Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. This is Lisa Jewell's new release for this year, 2020, and I think it's her best book that she has ever written, and I've read almost her entire backlist, which is a lot of books. And let me tell you, this book does something different. It is a case of a missing girl, and you're following people who are tangentially related to this missing girl. Maybe they were involved in her life, maybe they had something to do with her disappearance, you don't really know, and you're reading to kind of find out what happened to her. I don't even want to reveal one plot point because I feel like everything is so masterfully revealed in the book. It is so intriguing. If you like highfalutin English, wealthy suburban drama, this is for you. I love a domestic British thriller. There's nothing that I love more. This book was perfect. All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. We are at my number 2 book of the year, which is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I know this is like the basic pick, okay? This is what every like 40-year-old mom book club was reading in the suburbs. But let me tell you, they're not wrong, okay? They're not wrong. This book, I cried 10 times while reading this book. The writing is gorgeous. I would literally cry based on the description of a piece of grass alone. But you add in this intriguing story about a forgotten girl who really was set up for failure in her life, and her trying to come back despite every single prejudice that is against her. And on top of that, there's a murder mystery. The ending of this book is also like a mindfuck. I can't get over it to this day. This is one that I'm definitely going to want to reread, if not next year, definitely in 2022. I just feel like I need to take in the story again because it's absolutely beautiful and twisted and amazing. All right, can you guess my top book of 2020? I really don't think it's going to be that hard to predict here. We all know. Come on. We all know my top book. We all know my top book of 2020. Come on. It's Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Nobody's surprised. This is literally the most graphic and intense, bone-chilling, mind-numbing thriller I've ever read. It also has, you know, those subtle feminist themes that we love to see in a thriller. It has really great commentary on horrifying things that actually happen in our society that attention needs to be drawn to. It undermines authority. Okay, this is not a spoiler. Like, I love books that undermine authority. Like, I don't know. When it's a thriller and it has strong female leads and she really takes a firm stance on societal issues while still being thrilling, gory, and disgusting and like scaring the absolute shit out of me, that is my ideal book. This book, like every other page, something happens where you're like, huh? Like I just want to be scared at all times. This book does it. I literally love this book, and she has deckled edges. Could she be more perfect? I don't think so. This is my favorite book I've ever read, ever. If you're a thriller stan, you need to read this. Even if you're not, like, if you're not a thriller person, I definitely wouldn't start with this one, but get into thrillers just so you can work your way up to reading this book. This book is a masterpiece, and I don't think anyone is surprised that it's my top book of the year. So that is it. Those are my top 20 books that I've read in this year, 2020. Thank God it's over, but hey, at least I got to read some amazing books this year. That is all I have to say in this video. I hope you enjoy. I hope you pick up some of these books and got some good recommendations. Boba, tell them, say we'll see you in 2021. Oh my God, bye queens. See you in the next video in the new year. Oh my God, it's gonna be a whole year since I speak to you. Okay, bye.